Hello guys, KP Shamino here with a new video for Diablo 4, and in this video I'm going to show you guys my build that I'm going to play on the release until level 50. So it's not with the Paragon skills yet. It's my Whirlwind Barbarian build with always Beserking on, so up. Why I'm choosing this build? Because it's very good in pack clearing. It's very fast, you got a lot of movement, speed buffs, and I think that's the best skills that you need to have to level really fast up and go to the end game. Because I'm an end game player, I don't watch too much content and lore and all that stuff. For me, leveling is not fun. I want to get from as fast as possible away from the leveling section of a game, so therefore I choose this build. So how it's going to work? Very simple. So I'm going to show you guys a skill tree in this Diablo 4 planner. I will put this link under the video, of course, too. If I see something, or if I talk about something that is in my aspects too, then I'm going to jump to this. I will give an overview for the aspects at the end of the video too. But why I need to do that? Because aspects make a build or don't make a build. So if I talk about Beserking and I'm talking about an aspect, I can just show you guys this is the aspect that I'm talking about and that are the numbers. That's how I'm going to do it. That's a little bit the plan. So what is this build? This build is a build that you just turn around the entire time. That you are using your shouts, that you are using leap too. Why I'm using leap, I will explain it a little bit later. I want to have Beserking the entire time up. Why Beserking? 25% more damage, 30% more movement. It's a really good skill, this one. And everything synergize really well with each other. So we are going to start first with the skill tree. So I'm going to use Lunging Strike. Does it really matter what you use? I think Lunging Strike is the best. Why? Because you move to enemies too. The other ones, they are just you stand somewhere and you need to hit something. But I don't think that it matters that much what kind of basic skill you use. I used Frenzy 2 times on the beta. For me it worked as good as Lunging Strike. I used Fly 2 on the beta. It was as good as the other two. So, but I'm going probably use Lunging Strike, and if you don't like it, because sometimes you don't like a basic skill, yeah, just switch to another one. It does not matter that much, because I think at the end game, the basic skills are not going to be used that much. Most of the time, why are people using them at the start? For a Barbarian to get the furry up. But I think at the end, with the good gear, with the Paragon skills, I think you can make just enough furry with your core that you don't need the basics anymore. So I'm taking 1 point here. Then I take Enchanted Lunging Strike, and then I took Combat Lunging Strike too. But this is something that's the first skill. Do you need to take it? I'm going to explain really quick to you guys how this worked with the Whirlwind. So Whirlwind got an aspect that is going to give like almost 80% critical strike chance. So if you go to this aspect here, it's called Dire Whirlwind. So if you put it on a two-handed mace here for me, you can see it. Whirlwind critical strike chance is increased by 5 to 10% for each second it's channeled. So you are constantly turning around, up to 20 to 40%. That means on a two-hander, this goes to 80% critical strike chance. So if you go back to this, so critical strike with Lunging Strike grants you Beserking for 1.5 seconds. That looks really cool, but why would you ever go higher on your critical strike chance than 20%? You're just throwing away resources because you already got with the aspect probably 80% on your core mechanic. Therefore, I think it's not really good, but I just took it because if you are lucky on a critical strike chance at the start, because you don't have all the aspects, you get Beserking for 1.5 seconds. But I think at the end game, I will not use this anymore, probably. So that's a little bit why I want to say that to you guys. Then the next one is Whirlwind. You take 5 points here. So you just turn around. Then you take Enchanted Whirlwind. So gain 1 Fury each time Whirlwind deals direct damage to an enemy. Or 4 Fury against elite enemies. So this is one of the biggest problems to solve, that you can keep the furry always up. Because if there is no furry, there is no whirlwind. And whirlwind is soaking a lot of furry. You guys can see it. Furry cost is 25 per second. That's a lot. So you will see in this build a lot of furry generation the entire time. So therefore you need it. The best is that you can just use this entire time without stopping. I think that's possible, but we need to see on the full game. Then the next one is this Violent Whirlwind. So after using Whirlwind for 2 seconds, Whirlwind deals 30% increased damage until it's cancelled. So you can see it here. Then I took 1 point in this one, pressure point. Why? Because I don't have a source to get vulnerability on targets. And the problem with this build is, vulnerability is 20% more damage. But the problem is the single target damage is low. So therefore I took it. So because Whirlwind is hitting a lot of times, even with 10% you will get vulnerability on the boss. But I just took 1 point because I don't have enough points. And I want to have 20% more damage on the boss. Then we are going to this sector. So these are the defensive nodes. And now it's going to start. So this is very simple. Basic attack, core attack. That's very simple. There is nothing to understand about it. But here comes the harder part. So we are going to use 2 cries. And we are going to use 1 shout. The cries and the shout are going to make the build. Everything that you can have around the shout. So if you use a shout, then you get a certain buff. Or you can make the shouts longer and all that stuff. That's what you need to take. Because the shouts are the blueprint of this build. Everything that you can take of skill points that are going to buff the shouts. Or you get like more furry. You need to take it. So you will see here, I'm going to take Rallying Cry. So what is Rallying Cry doing? So increase your movement speed by 30% and resources generation by 40% for 6 seconds. And nearby allies for 3 seconds. Very important again, movement speed, because you need to level fast. You get 30% more furry, very important. Then I take this one. Enchanted Rallying Cry, so you get unstoppable. So that means that you cannot get slowed, stunned and all that stuff. Very good. And then here, the tactical Rallying Cry. Rallying Cry generates 20 furry and grants you an additional multiple 20% resource generation. So that's the first cry. Then here, this shout. Why do you need to take this shout? It's so good against incoming damage and you generate furry with it too if enemies hit you. So it's a challenging shout. You guys can see it. Taunt nearby enemies and gain 40% damage reduction for 6 seconds. That's a lot. 40%. Then you take this one and then you take this one. So while channeling shout is active, you gain 3 furry each time you take damage. So that are the defensive one. This is not really defensive one because... yeah, it's defensive too. And then what do you take here for passive? You take this one. So imposing presence. Very simple, 3 points, 15% more life. Why would you not take it? And then you take this one too. I'm not sure about this one because I already got so many reduction against damage. This is something that I need to see later on in the game. It's possible that the elites are not going to hit that hard because you're turning around them. You can dodge them with turning around them. So, but I now took it... martial vigor because 9% damage reduction against elite. So that are the defensive skills. And now we are going to talk about the brawling skills. So here is the Warcry. A Warcry is something very important. So Warcry is going to give you 15% more damage. And then the next one is Warcry grants you Beserking for 4 seconds. So I'm going to talk now about Beserking. Beserking is something very important. I want to have Beserking up the entire time. So you can now see that if I use this, I got 4 seconds Beserking. But I got a cooldown of 25 seconds. That's not really true. The cooldown is a lot more lower than I show you guys here. I think it's 12 seconds. I will show you guys how it comes a little bit later with aspects and all that stuff. But you need to understand, so for 12 seconds cooldown, I got 4 seconds Beserking up. That means that I got 8 seconds no Beserking. So how do I overcome that problem? I use Leap 2. So I put 5 points in Leap. And what can you do with Leap? So every 13 seconds you can Leap. It's not only a good movement skill, because you can jump around, but it's going to generate 32. And then if you take this pack, this is the Beserking pack. So if you take first those nodes, so gain 9% damage reduction while Beserking, and then you come here. When a brawling skill damage at least one enemy, gain Beserking for 3 seconds. So that means now we got 4 plus 3. So now we got already 7 seconds of Beserking up. But then another problem came along. So what is the problem with Beserking? I didn't know that. So you can stack it up, but Beserking got the maximum amount of time that it can be up. And in this game it's 5 seconds. So that means 4 plus 3 is 7. It will be 5. So you cannot go over the 5, because otherwise you can just keep stacking it up until you got 5 hours of Beserking up, and you come on a boss and you can just Berserk the entire time. So always remember that. So there is a limited maximum amount of time that Berserker can be up in this game. So what did I do? So we got now 4 and 3. That's 7. So that's more than 5. I took this one. So... and I realized that Beserking got a maximum time when I read this. So on constraint, you can see increased Berserk maximum duration by 5 seconds. So I thought by myself, how is that possible? And then I understood that there is a maximum duration on Beserking, and that's 5. So with this, it goes from 5 plus 5 to 10 seconds. Second, and increase its damage bonus by 25%. So that means I got now, with this, 10 seconds that I can use Berserk. So what is going to happen? If you use Warcry and you use right away Leap, you will have 7 seconds of Berserking up. Is it needed to take this one? I think at the end, no. And I will explain to you guys why. Because there is an aspect that is going to generate Beserking, and the duration is going to be added 1 second. I will show you guys it. So if you come here, so this aspect, damaging an enemy with a core skill has up to 20 to 40% chance to extend the duration of Beserking by 1 second. Double this duration if it was a critical strike. So that means, so I will do a recap because it's a lot. So what is going to happen? I use my Warcry, 4 seconds. I leap, a second later, I got 6 seconds of Beserking. The moment that I start using my core skill, that's Whirlwind, I'm going to stack up by 1 second or 2 seconds if I crit, until I hit 10 seconds. I cannot go over 10 seconds. So you cannot have 11 seconds. Why do they do that? To prevent that you keep stacking up Beserking. So that you always need to reapply Beserking. But here it's not needed. So you keep going Beserking, and you will stay the entire time that you use a core skill, you will stay at 10 seconds. Is that going to be needed at the end? Because it's possible that with 5 seconds, so the base maximum duration is enough too. But that's something that I don't know. Because the problem is, if you're very unlucky, and your Warcry is on cooldown, and your Leap is on cooldown, and you cannot use your Whirlwind, that's possible, and you don't do that for 5 seconds, your Beserking is gone, and you need to reapply it. But now, at this moment, I use it. So it's possible that we can get some things away out of the build if this is better tested in the real game. So it's not that easy to understand, but that's how it works. So this skill, I take it now for the 10 seconds just to test it. If it works with the aspect and I can keep generating Beserking the entire time with even 5 seconds on Beserking maximum, I will do this away and I will probably go to this. Core skill deal 135% increased damage, but cost is 100% more furry. But I can only do that if I can generate enough furry. Because double on the core is 50 furry cost for every second that you turn around. That's a lot. It's possible that you can do it if you level up, but I'm not sure yet. So that's a little bit how I get 100% Beserking on. So let's have a look now to the other things. So now I talked about Beserking, the leap slam and all that stuff. So this is very good too. So your shout skill effect duration are increased by 24%. That's a lot. So your shouts will be up 24% more. So this is a shout. Then this one I took only 2 points. Your shout skill causes enemy to deal 8% less damage for 5 seconds. And then here the Beserking nodes too. So I already told you guys why I took this one to get Beserking. But you can take this one too. Because we got the entire time Beserking up. While Beserking furry generation is increased by 18%. That's a lot. So everything to get that furry. I want to have all the furry up. I want to use the 50 furry on the Whirlwind. And therefore I got it everywhere. Then we come here, and here is a trick that a lot of people do. So this is something that is very simple to execute. So hamstring is very good. Your bleeding effect slow enemies by 10%. You cannot use this on the boss, by the way. Therefore I put vulnerability in it. You cannot slow a boss, but you can slow enemies. So your bleeding effect shows enemies by 10%, but where is the bleeding? It's very simple. So you go just to the expertise, you take a two-handed sword here. So here it is. And then 20% of direct damage you deal is inflicted as bleeding damage over 5 seconds. You deal 30% increased bleeding damage for 5 seconds after killing an enemy. So just by using this, you will have bleed up the entire time. And this is going to pop up. You will slow the enemies for 10%. Why is this important for this? So if you got a slow on the enemies, you will have... you can take this one, Pit Fighter. This is something that I always took. It has nothing to do with the slow. You deal 9% increased damage to close enemies and gain 6% distant damage reduction. Very good, but this is important. You have 9% increased critical strike chance against... they're slowed enemies. So because the bleed is slowing, you get just 9% increased critical strike chance. Is it needed at the end? I'm not really sure either. So it's possible this cluster you can, this and this you can get rid of once again, because I already got on my core skill so many critical strike chance. Then we go a little bit further. I took just this one, very easy. While using two-handed weapons, you deal 15% increased critical strike damage. Not critical strike chance, damage. So, yeah, just take it. 15% more damage if you crit. And you crit most of the time. So that's very good. And then here I already told you guys that. Try this out. If you see that Beserking is up the entire time, you can get rid of this and you take that one if you got, of course, enough furry generation. So that's it a little bit, guys. So I think it's going to work. There are a couple of things that I'm going to change around, but we need to watch how it's going with the leveling. But it will work really well. So the shouts and the cries, they will reduced with a lot, with aspects. So every 12 to 13 seconds you can get it up, I think. And that's yeah. So now we are going to talk about aspects, because that's one of the most important things that you need to have here. Some of them, I think 1 or 2, maybe you can change them around, but some of them you need to have. There are very strong aspects for the world will build. I will say them which one are mandatory, because that's very important. So this one on the helm, aspect of grasping Whirlwind. Whirlwind pulls enemies to you. Very good. It's going to just cluster up all the enemies and you kill them really fast. This is something that I would take every time. Then the next one. Damaging an elite enemy grants you a barrier, absorbing up to X damage for 10 seconds. This can go to 800-900. That's like a shield that you get. Therefore, I took it. Because sometimes, what did I saw in my testing? That packs are okay, but elites, sometimes they hit very hard. So I wanted to get this in. Is this mandatory? It depends. It depends how you feel. It depends how you play. If you're a very good player, you don't get hit. You don't need to take defensive aspects. but I need it because I'm not a very good player. So therefore I took it on the chest. Then the next one, this is important, I already told you guys it. Relentless Berserker aspect. So lucky hit, damaging an enemy with a core skill, Whirlwind, has up to 22 to 40% chance to extend the duration of Beserking by 1 second. Double this duration if it was a critical strike. So this is going to keep your Beserking, the uptime 100%. So be sure, this is mandatory, by the way. Then the pants. Once again, a defensive one aspect of the disobedience. You gain 0.25 to 0.50% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 25 to 50%. That's a lot. So because you do a lot of damage with your Whirlwind, it's going to stack really fast up. Then the next one is this one, and this is for me a mandatory too, because you need to have speed. The more speed you got, the better. That's how it works in ARPGs. So Wind Striker aspect, critical strike grant 8 to 16% movement speed for 1 second up to 6 seconds. So that's a lot, because you will crit probably the entire time with your Whirlwind. Then we are going to talk, no, not about weapons. I'm going first to this. This is the amulet. So here I got aspect of the Berserk ripping. I took this one because for me this is the best. If there was something that was synergizing more with the build, I took it. But if you got Beserking, you inflict bleed. That's how it works. And then those two are very important on your rings. So Bolt Chieftain aspect. Whenever you cast a shout skill, its cooldown is reduced by 2.7 to 5.4 seconds. So that's a lot. It's going to put your shouts down, and you need to have this. Always need to take that. It's going to make your life a lot easier, because the shout is very important in this game. So be sure that you take it. Then the next one is even more important. Aspect of the Echoing Fury. Your shout skills generate 2 to 4 Fury per second while active. Once again, Fury. It depends, of course, all. If you got enough Fury, you can get that away. Now we are going to talk about the weapons. And why are the weapons so good in a Barbarian? Because you can equip 4 weapons. And all the stats on those weapons are going to count, and therefore it's so good. The Barbarian and his weapons. So I got on my two-handed Blunchian weapon, I got this, and this is very important. I already told you guys it is going to give your Whirlwind almost the entire time the crit chance. So Whirlwind critical strike chance is increased by 5 to 10% for each second it is channeled. So the more you channel, the more crit you will get, up to 20 to 40%. But you need to double that, because this is a two-hander. So that means if you do it right, at some point you will have 80% critical strike chance just with this aspect plus your base. So if you get base 20% critical strike chance, you will get 100% the entire time, and you will crit the entire time. Then the other one, the slashing weapon. This is very important too. Critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed by 15 to 25% for 3 seconds. Very important too. This is on your two-handed sword. So always remember that. And then the other two that are the one-handers. You can see it here, the dual wielding weapons. So I took this one. Damaging enemies with leap, upheaval or whirlwind has up to 40 to 50% chance to summon an ancient to perform the same skill. Can only happen once every 5 seconds. So that means you get a guy that is going to do whirlwind with you. It's not that bad. And then the last one is this one. I'm not sure about this one in the end game, because I think, I told you guys it already, I don't think that the basic skill is going to be used that much, but I took this one. Attacking enemies with the basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill by 5 to 10% up to 30%. So that was it, guys. A lot of explanation. Are there things to improve? Probably. But I'm going to play this one, and I want to share that with you guys. So understand how Beserking works. Understand how you need to get your shouts down in time. And then it's very easy. You just turn around, you use your shouts when you need to use it. You jump around with your leap to get Beserking. This you use if you see a pack or if you need to get furry, and then you just turn around the entire time. Thanks for watching, have fun in the release, and I see you guys in next video. Bye bye.